Hi, episode 4.
Episode 4.
We're doing so good.
Yeah, I brought a ghost. You brought a cryptid.
I did. Hope. Well, we'll get to it. I may have bent the rules.
Well, that's lame.
I teensy
bent the rules.
Beansy bit.
One of the earlier episodes.
The arbitrary rules that we set up.
They're not really rules. They're not that important.
They're not super important.
That's okay. So how are you feeling today? You ready to record?
To be perfectly honest, I have a little bit of a headache, but
oh, awesome.
That might just be from this thing that I've had to be looking at for the last hour. It turned out to be a lot more complicated than I thought.
Yeah, that's okay.
What about you? How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Oh, God.
Didn't do a whole ton today except finish up notes and go to class, so, I'm feeling pretty good.
It's pretty good. There was something I wanted to clear up since I now have a microphone in my face and can talk about it. I have talked about this with a couple different people, and they've been like, oh, Daphne, you have a podcast, that's so cool. And they're like, what's it about? I'm like, oh yeah, paranormal and cryptid stuff. Yeah. And they're like, girly, you're in STEM. You're like a biologist. And they're like, that doesn't really make any sense. And I would just like to clear the air here. I never said I believed in any of this stuff. I just said I like talking about it.
That's fair.
So if you are a future employer listening to this right now that thinks I don't have critical thinking skills, I do. We both do.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder.
Sometimes I also wonder. But I just wanted to clear that up because both my parents were confused and my tattoo artist was confused and one of my other friends was confused.
All the people I've talked to just kind of accepted it. They're like, yeah, that sounds like something.
They're like, oh yeah, that's something Tucker would do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people thought this was something that I would be doing, which is funny because I'm the one that suggested it.
True, but I was on board with the idea, so...
You're immediately like, yeah.
I'm at least, maybe 25% at fault for
You're
this.
at fault for this, but I'm 75% at fault?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Does that mean I get 75% of the money when we start making money? Because we're going to start making money.
75% of 0 is still 0.
I guess that's true. We need to start making just $1.
Well, when we actually start getting stuff posted and edited, maybe they'll talk to us.
Oops.
Yay.
Please send us emails.
Anyway, on that cheery note, speaking of things dead, like our revenue.
Like our revenue.
Are you ready?
I'm so excited. I'm gonna take my glasses off before I worsen my headache.
Yeah, that's fair. So, let's begin. All right. Have you heard of the Winchester Mystery House? I'm guessing you have, haven't you?
Yes!
Yeah. You know where it's located?
Yes, I do!
San
It's
Jose,
one of my favorites!
California.
Oh, I've wanted to go there. I'm sorry, I'm probably blowing out the speaker. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I was looking at stuff and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a haunted mansion, right?
Yeah.
And the first
oh
thing
my God.
It was Disneyland haunted mansion. I was like, no, that I think is also kind of haunted because people spread their ashes in there.
Yeah, and they have to put up signs. They're like, please stop spreading people's ashes.
That's kind of weird.
I don't understand why they don't just put out a barrel in the beginning or drop ashes here, please.
I don't know. I don't know if you want souls conglomerating,
Well,
if that's a thing.
Well, because nobody actually ever dies at Disney. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did, because if they don't declare you dead.
They don't declare you dead until you, even if you die there. Yeah, there's been a couple times where people have had heart attacks or strokes, and they wheel them out and then they pronounce them dead outside of the park, because I guess they don't want bad juju.
Yeah. But anyway, I was looking at...
Sorry, continue.
This is banter. It's
I'm so excited. This is genuinely one of my favorite stories, and I want to go so bad.
The more I read about it, the more I was like, what?
The more you read about it, you were like, Daphne's gonna love this shit.
No, literally. But yeah, a lot of sources online were like, oh man, this is one of the most haunted places in the U.S. And I was like, all right, sure. I can deal with that.
So wait, had you never heard of it until you started researching? That's so funny.
Although I will say, in my research, it brings forth memories, but I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Because I think 2 or 3 years ago, they made a horror movie based off of it. That was the story. I don't know why it took them so long to finally
enough,
make a movie out of it, because they've been making horror movies based on real quote unquote events since like, the 60s.
Annabelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't really watch horror movies that often.
I don't. I'm a baby.
I like horror movies. I also get scared very easily. I like the thrill of it a little bit.
See, I already have generalized anxiety. So every single day is a horror movie in my mind.
No, we're chilling.
It's the thing about horror movies that gets me, it's the suspense. I also have really, really bad secondhand embarrassment whenever I watch shows or TV. I'm too empathetic, and I put myself too much in people's shoes, and it just stresses me out. Because I'm also I wouldn't do that. But also at the same time, I've worked in situations where I've done pretty extensive SFX makeup on people, and so I know how a lot of effects are done. Yeah. So if I ever do watch a slasher film, I'm that's a cabbage, and there's a bucket of blood that's put under their shirt to do this to make that happen, and that effect is used making silicone, and so I get then it takes away from it, because I'm oh, that's disgusting, but it's also a really cool effect, but also I know how they did that.
I'm a sucker for practical effects in horror movies. CGI horror movies, kind of lame. Practical effects though, ooh, peak.
I also just really appreciate, there is sort of the artistry behind it there's so many man hours that go into things like that, and at the end of the day it is a piece of artwork, but also ultimately I get too many butterflies in my tummy and it makes me want to throw up, so I don't watch scary movies.
That's fair. We have a mystery house to talk about.
Okay, sorry.
Do you know much about the history of it or anything?
Oh, yeah.
All right, sweet. Well, I guess you can fact check my information then.
I will. I'm going to be actually, Tucker, that's wrong.
I will not have you correct. I'm telling a story. This is my made-up. This is my OC.
Every single person I can find on YouTube that has done a walkthrough or a tour of this thing. I watch it. I eat this shit up.
It's pretty cool, honestly.
It's one of my favorite ghost stories of all time. Yeah, but please tell me. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, apparently, Mrs. Winchester, originally this started as kind of like a cottage type of thing. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm readjusting really quick. It started as a cabbage type of thing.
Cabbage?
Well, we were talking about cabbage earlier.
My cabbages!
And then after Mrs. Winchester, her family passed away, basically what ended up happening was her daughter, at only about 6 weeks old, passed away from some sort of illness that made it so she couldn't get nutrients and stuff. And then her husband died of tuberculosis sometime after.
Consumption.
Yes.
Consumption.
So basically, she got a ton of money, and she also seems kind of crazy a little bit. Mm-hmm. So she ended up building just layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff. I mean, in total, it's a 24... Stop saying
I'm just waiting to interject.
I know. Apparently it's 24,000 square feet. It's got 10,000 separate windows, 2,000 doors, 160 rooms, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms. We'll get back into the number 13.
Oh, I know about the number 13.
And 6 kitchens. It was construction. They had construction from 1886 till 1922, which is pretty crazy.
So can I, are you going to get, I don't want to completely steal your thunder, but I do want to interject a little bit. So for context, when the name Winchester sounds familiar to anybody, it's also the Winchester rifle, and she married into the family. So her husband was the son of the founder.
Yes.
And they all, so her father-in-law and her husband and her daughter, her first and only child, all died very, very quickly, very suddenly, only shortly after they all got married.
Yep.
But because they all died, then she became the heiress. So she inherited a buku bananas, unfathomable amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, for reference, this house apparently cost about $5 million, and that's in 1923 money, which is $71 million today.
Yeah, and that was just play money.
Yeah, just play money.
She was just throwing it around.
Yep, which we will see. We'll get into it in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, we'll get to it.
It's kind of insane. A lot of stuff happened. Many features of the house include doors that open into nothing, so they'll just open them, it'll just be like a straight drop, or you open
Yo, there's one from the second floor.
Yeah.
I love that. I wanna open it so bad.
I know. There's really, really shallow stairs. There's stairs that go directly to ceilings. There's windows that are interior windows that are barred. Mm-hmm. There's trap doors.
Oh, I didn't know about the trap doors.
Yeah, apparently there's trap doors.
As in you step into them and you fall, or you open them up and then there's a cellar.
You step in and you fall.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's like a trap
it's
door.
Do you know why she built this house into a maze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We'll go into it right now.
Good.
So apparently this Mrs. Winchester was a very spiritual person. And she felt that, and at least allegedly, a medium told her that, the angry spirits of every single person that the Winchester rifle helped kill were, coming to get vengeance on the Winchester family.
Yeah.
So, that's all alleged. It cannot be confirmed nor denied that a medium...
Yeah, I don't think mediums were, writing that shit down also. Yeah. They're today I spoke with this Winchester. And I got this notarized and saved.
The medium was you need to build, a maze. So, the reason why the house has so many things that open into, nothing are because they are meant to, confuse spirits so they don't, enact vengeance on this
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're probably gonna get to it, so I totally don't want to step on your toes, but another part of the legend is that it's as long as you keep building,
the spirits can't get you.
They can't get you, but if you ever stop building, then they're gonna enact their vengeance on you. So it was
Which it did stop, eventually, the building, at least.
Yeah, because she died.
Yeah.
We can't live forever.
Nope.
Although I think...
Spirits got her, I guess.
I guess, finally. Or, yeah, definitely wasn't old age.
No.
Or the really bad arthritis.
Nope.
Nope.
Or the sickness from the money.
Nope.
But, I guess we'll jump into something a little bit more interesting. Apparently Harry Houdini visited the mansion. He obviously was...
what a guy.
I know, seems like such a cool
We
guy.
should do a deep dive on him.
What does he have to do with...
Harry Houdini, sorry, oh my god, let me just have a little tangent.
Yeah.
So Harry Houdini was avidly against spiritualism, especially in the movements, because it's post World War I, and then it was just accelerated also by World War II, but especially after World War I, where you had all this tragedy, you had a lot of people that were trying to seek out their loved ones that they had lost.
Yeah.
So you had this really, really big spiritualist movement.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of people claiming to be mediums that ultimately were just preying on other people's sorrows. So Harry Houdini, being a magician,
he
knew all the ins and outs of a lot of these tricks, and he was... He I think he even had a thing where he was I'll pay you $10,000 in 1920s money if you can prove to me that mediums are real.
Yeah.
And he held that because what he'd do is he'd go and he'd visit these places and he'd call people on their bluff and he'd be here's how that trick works. That isn't true. I can do the same trick. This is how this works.
Watch me do it.
Watch me do it. So I think I could be completely wrong, but I want to say that... Oh, God. Who's the guy that wrote Sherlock Holmes? Oh, God. It's literally on the tip of my tongue. But him and Harry Houdini were buddies. Yeah. And they ended up falling out. Oh my god, I need to Google this. It's gonna bother me.
While you're talking about it, one of the main reasons that Harry Houdini actually did visit this house was he wanted to prove that the mediums that were visiting this house, because apparently there were multiple, were nothing more than con artists who were trying to cheat Mrs. Winchester out of her money that she just got. But apparently after he visited the seance room at midnight, Mr. Houdini admitted that he couldn't explain away the oddities, and he called it A House Full of Mysteries.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes, that's what
It was literally on the tip of my tongue. I get him confused with Robert Baden-Powell all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's the three...
It's the three name. Arthur, yeah.
Three-word name.
I almost said J.R.R. Tolkien when I
said
it the first time, and I was like, that is
him.
not right.
That is not
right. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was really, really, really big into spiritualism, to the point where actually after writing Sherlock Holmes, it kind of affected his career.
Yeah.
In the sense where people are like, because the people are like, obviously this man's a genius if he can write Sherlock Holmes.
For sure.
But then he was extremely, honestly, gullible with a lot of... fancy trickery and things like that, and he was strung along by a lot of people to the point where it like really hurt his career towards the end of it. But yeah, him and Harry Houdini had like a love-hate relationship. They were buddies and they respected each other, but towards the end of their lifetimes, they were kind of going in different directions.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That happens.
Somebody write fan fiction of that. I'm sure there is.
No, please don't. Don't even reference that. That's gross. You should be ashamed.
I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, well.
Star-crossed lovers.
Ugh. We're going back to
just two bros. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Gosh. Why do I even bring you on this show?
You're like, I can't take her anywhere.
Can't take her anywhere. She'll embarrass me.
Yeah, I'm gonna push you out of that 2-story door that opens into nothing.
I'm gonna be joining the spirit maze. I'd
be like, let me tell me what it's like on the other side. Bye. Tucker!
Yeah.
Tucker, can you hear me right now?
Speak to me.
Speak to me, Tucker.
I sense a dark presence in this very room. I'm like, you suck, dude.
Yeah. You're like, this bitch pushed me out of a friggin' window.
She pushed me out of a window.
She pushed me out of a window.
A 2-story drop.
She did it to prove a point.
Yeah. But this is my last little fun fact about the house. Apparently in 2016, during construction, so I guess construction didn't stop. Did you know about this one?
Well... construction in the sense of like maintaining it
mostly because they ended up finding a secret room actually that was sealed up. A big earthquake happened in San Jose in 1906 and collapsed part of the home, and actually trapped Sarah Winchester in part of the home for a little bit.
Oh, and did they have to like dig her out?
I don't think
or like
so. I think it just like
build her out.
Yeah, I guess. They're like, oh man, we gotta get a new room around her staff. No, it just kind of trapped her for like
somebody put in a doorway.
Bit, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
But basically, what they found in this room was like perfectly preserved Victorian furniture, a lot of clothing, paintings, and they found a doll.
I did not know about that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're coming in clutch after I scarred you last week.
Yeah, hold on. I wish it wasn't so small.
Oh my god. Is it like a baby doll? Does it have no eyes?
Oh,
what does it look like?
Looks like that. Yeah.
I love her.
No. Terrible, terrible creature. Disgusting animal. Yeah, that is apparently...
Does it have human hair?
I mean, it looks like it, but I don't know.
Damn.
I also... See, the thing is with that is like...
It can go hang out with Letta.
Yeah. He's a homeboy. The thing is with it, though, that's weird to me, is... At that point, her daughter was already gone. There was no reason to have a doll in the house at all.
Well, I mean, people grieve in different ways.
True. Yeah, true.
And I'm not here to tell a mother how to grieve.
I hope your 6-week-old daughter doesn't look like that, though.
Yeah, no. I hope it doesn't look like a creepy little porcelain doll.
Yeah. But let's actually get into the ghostly stuff. The specific ghostly
The
stuff.
specifics.
We're going to start pretty easy. There's a bell tower.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently there's a bell tower there.
Does it still have a bell in it? Does it ring?
To my knowledge.
Do they ring it?
What it was used for when it was still like in
operation? Yeah.
I don't know why I said operants. Because she did have people like working here. Because it is still a mansion. You still have people like
huge.
Clean and cook for you.
It's like the Disneyland of the ghost world.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have like cotton candy.
Probably not.
Do they have season tickets?
I don't know.
How do we get them?
Probably. I mean, you can definitely...
Winchester Mystery House? Email us.
There's no way. But yeah, I was used to like do stuff like call workers for meetings, or it was also used as a fire alarm.
That's actually really smart.
It was also allegedly used to call spirits. So you'd ring the bell and it'd be like the witching hour.
Yeah, that's why churches have bells.
Yeah, I think so.
So that you're supposed to be able to call down the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Apparently, ghostly music is heard without the hall sometimes because she like played.
No, thank you.
She played like music for them.
Mm-mm.
Apparently, she actually found she held parties for spirits. Actually, So she would like it'd be like just her, and then she'd serve stuff on like gold platters and
She's
stuff.
really trying to appease them.
And whenever she ended up dying, they like went through her vault. No gold platters were found. They still have no idea what happened to all the gold like silver cutlery and silverware and stuff. So it's gone. So it was either stolen. She sold it. Who knows?
Or maybe the ghosts got it.
Maybe, I don't know. They're like, this is mine.
They're like, this is mine now. He's like, she won't be using this anymore.
Yeah. But a weird trend that is in this house is the repetition of the number 13, which I believe is the number of the beast, isn't it?
Well, you could argue many things. I was born on a 13th, so
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, I think that just proves the point.
True. It's an unlucky number.
Or a really lucky number if you're me.
I mean, there's a reason why Friday the 13th is both a horror movie franchise and considered an unlucky day.
I was not born on a Friday. I was born on like a
Thank you,
Tuesday.
That's nice.
My birthday does fall on a Friday though occasionally, and it's really exciting.
Anyway,
I know.
There's the repetition of 13. There's 13 bathrooms, 13 bedrooms, there's 13 windows in a lot of rooms. People really don't know why.
I think another thing also, sorry to interject, is that the windows in those rooms will have 13 panels.
Yep, they'll have
and like
panels.
they have like really intricate like stained glasswork, and it's really beautiful.
Sometimes if they're indoors, they'll also be barred. So, like, the main why that is though is because it used to be an outside window before they built around it, and she didn't want people breaking in.
Yeah.
But she just never took down the wires because it helps keep the spirit in, I guess.
I guess.
That was pretty cool, huh? But in these, they do tour guides. So visitors and tour guides have experienced a whole bunch of different spots, like cold spots. They've heard footsteps, cooking smells, apparently. So you'll be like walking down and you'll be like, dang, I could really go for a roasted ham. And you're like, smell that going, and you walk in.
Some roasted potatoes.
I guess some mashed twice baked potatoes. They hear odd sounds, whispering, doors and windows slamming, and they've even reported feelings of being watched.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm always scared about doors slamming shut because I'm paranoid that my fingers are gonna get squished.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah. Oh, same with like windows. Like, what if I'm leaning out the window and then it falls and then cuts my head off? I have really irrational fears. I never said my fears were rational.
That's like a Tom and Jerry skit.
I know, but it's
not plausible.
I know, but I'm worried about, especially crushing my fingers. I'm always worried about squishing my fingers.
That would really suck. Imagine a ghost that you just like smash it, goes, ouch! That wouldn't be very fun.
I pull him out. There's like a jank in my fingers.
Yeah, it's like bent like an L. You're like, oh, it's like pulsing in red and stuff. Like smashing with a hammer. But let's get into the specific hauntings themselves. There's only really like 2 or 3 main ghosts.
Are you gonna talk about the lady herself?
I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't find anything that said that she was haunting it.
Damn.
One of the most famous ones is the wheelbarrow ghost. He's a residual haunting. So that usually residual haunting.
Isn't he in like this? Yeah, isn't he in like the basement?
Yeah.
Oh.
So basically, what a residual haunting is, it's normally people that like. You see figures, they're not like conscious or aware, so they're not gonna like communicate with you or anything. They're just kind of like doing stuff.
They're like replaying things that were.
It's like a look into the time there.
Sometimes they'll like walk through walls because like during their time there wasn't a wall there.
Yeah. But he's just a little guy. I mean, he'll be seen working on a fireplace or pushing a wheelbarrow of like ash and coal, which is why he's called the wheelbarrow ghost.
Yeah.
And you said that he was in the basement, and he is actually spotted in the basement. He's also spotted in another place. Would you like to try to guess where that is?
Oh, in the garden?
No.
Oh,
in the grand ballroom.
Is he dancing?
I believe that's where he's working on the fireplace.
Oh.
Like there's a big fireplace.
I mean, to be fair, that's pretty sick though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, getting hot in a ballroom, that'd be pretty sweet.
It does kind of suck though that he is just like perpetually working.
Yeah, no, that's pretty fair. That would really suck.
Did he have like a little ghost 401k and he's just like working on it?
Conscious.
Oh, well.
Never know.
He must have been attached to the place, if he stuck around.
He loves his work,
I also like to think that Mrs. Winchester probably treated them pretty well.
I mean, she was insane, but she had a lot of money, so.
I mean, beggars can't be choosers.
No, exactly. And if
I'd work for her.
well, hey, I'll do a lot of work for her if I'm getting paid well. Nice lady, feeds me.
You're like, I'll do whatever. Yeah,
I'll live in your haunted
you want me
house.
to build a door to nowhere?
Sure,
I mean, say
I'll
less.
A 2-story drop. Why not?
You want me to make these weird stairs that go nowhere?
I'm going to leave my favorite one for last, so we're just going to move on to shadow figures.
No, thank you.
There's a lot of shadow figures. They're seen all over the places. The most common.
I mean, to be fair, though, just to play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
I imagine with a place this big, it's probably really hard to get lighting in all the corners.
Probably.
How do you know you're not just wandering around and there's just like, ooh, a dark spot?
Yeah. Mostly times, actually, though, they're seen in windows.
Oh,
So
no thank you.
I'll show
looking
you.
in or looking out?
Looking out.
Oof. So, like, you're outside?
So you're outside, see someone looking out at you. Most of the windows, they're usually seen on, like, the second floor. And on the second floor, they have curtains in all the windows.
So do they like pull the curtain back?
They're all white curtains. Yeah, the picture I have is a really, really interesting one. You can see it in kind of like the top left. You can pretty clearly see something
like some sort of like head and shoulders, knees and toes
sort of.
kind of
I'll
deal.
flip it around. It is kind of small. It's like this window around like this area, I believe.
Okay, hold on. Let me look.
On your left hand there.
I don't
It is
see anything.
that window right there.
Wait. Oh, ew.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh?
It's like pulled back.
Yep.
That's not how it should be.
No, it's pretty gross, huh?
And that's right at the front.
That's the front door.
That's the front door.
It's right above the.
They just need to get a Ring doorbell.
I guess. My favorite though is the water tower ghost. So there's a water tower there. I believe that had a well or something, but they used a water tower to store water. And
mix all the cement.
I think so. It's like a 3-story, like 3 stories tall. And the story goes, there was a maintenance worker in there. He's doing something, and he heard footsteps above him.
No, thank you.
And he was like, "Man, I need to go up there," because this was during working hours. Like,
oh, he's like, there probably shouldn't be. That's like a safety issue.
It's kind of scary. And he ended up starting to go up the stairs, and the footsteps were just, one step ahead of him. He never made it to, and then he made it to the roof. No one there.
So he just
followed.
Chased him up.
Made him run up 3 flights of stairs.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'd also be exhausted. My knees would have given out halfway through the first flight. I was like, please, I can't do this.
I really like that one. That one is the coolest to me, but it sounds like you might even have a really cool one.
Yeah, so Sarah died in the home, and there's actually her room there that you can visit, and it's still got her bed that she died in.
How
there.
Awesome. I wonder why she's still there.
Well, allegedly she is. Apparently she's mostly felt in that area. There's also a room, it's called, I think you touched on it. It's called like the hallway of fire or something. It's a room that's got 13 fireplaces.
Yeah.
And the reason that she built so many fireplaces was because apparently it was supposed to help with her arthritis. Like all the warmth was supposed to help with her arthritis.
Massive house, really windy, really drafty. Big fireplaces. Nice.
So, yeah, apparently she's seen in her room and also just like walking through hallways. Another thing that I've heard people mention is that it sounds like they'll hear like nails fall like onto the ground, like they fell. Yeah, like they fell out of a bag, or they've come out of the wall and have dropped on the floor. They don't never find any nails, but they'll hear them.
It's like the winery one that breaks the wine glass.
Yeah, we should get them together.
Yeah, they probably have a lot of fun. It's like one of those like those like rooms you go to just like smash stuff. Like
a rage room.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to do that so bad.
Like, man, this is awesome.
Another thing that I've also heard is that so she did hold seances in her home, and she had a seance room where she would meet with mediums allegedly and get kind of building guidance from the ghosts, apparently from the good spirit, because there were like the mediums would tell her that there was like good spirits that wanted to protect her, so they'd go into a seance and the ghosts would be like,
make a L 90-degree corner,
build us a little maze, and then tear it down, and then build it back up, and then
you should make us a gaming room.
And then she was like, oh, okay.
They're
and
like,
then she'd go and do that.
How would that help? Like, we need a pool table. It's boring. Having nails drop out of the wall.
They're like, can we get a pinball machine, please?
Get us pachinko.
Some hoop and stick.
Yeah, come on. Ring toss.
Maybe some Scrabble.
Yeah. It's a board game, sorry.
How many points can I get for ectoplasm?
Yeah, I don't know, probably like 20 or 30.
Probably at least.
That's a long word.
It's also got a Z in it. Does it?
No.
I'm stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know how to spell.
No. Did you think it was P-L-A-Z? It's an S. Ectoplasm. It's not a Z. It's P-L-A.
Edit this out. Edit this out. Edit this out.
Keep going.
Listen,
I'm not the one that's responsible for you not being able to spell.
it's not my fault that I can't spell.
It kind of is.
It's not. I didn't learn how to spell.
Ectoplasm.
I didn't learn how to read and write in English until 4th grade.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have learned about spiritual stuff. You didn't.
Just edit this out. I'm never gonna recover from this.
No, that's why I'm keeping it in.
Damn.
Because I'm probably gonna be ending up doing the editing on this one, like I did with the second episode.
Damn.
By the way, I'm very proud of the second episode. I feel very cool that I could put very rudimentary images in there.
Yeah, I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Daphne.
It took me longer than I would have liked because I didn't know how to use the editing software.
I also can't even pay you for your hours. Poor thing.
You can't pay me at all.
Sponsors? Hello?
I don't think I worked on it an hour. I think maybe it took me like 40 minutes, maybe. Almost an hour, maybe? I don't know. Let's get back to the story.
Anyways. I'm never gonna recover from this.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'm just thinking about how to spell ectoplasm now.
No. Tell us about the ghost.
Oh, is it my turn now or is it your turn?
I mean, you were in the middle of talking about Sarah Winchester.
What was I talking about?
Good spirits.
Oh, yeah. How many points you could get if you spelled ectoplasm in Scrabble.
Yep, back on track.
Back on track. We got there. Full circle.
Yep, jingled the keys.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Oh, I don't even remember what else I was talking about.
I mean, we can just move on if you prefer that.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's just do that.
We can do some epic questions if you want.
Ooh, posit me some questions.
Alright, my questions are... I guess we'll start off with one. Do you think the maze actually deterred any spirits?
No.
You think there are spirits at all?
No.
No?
I think she is a very eclectic woman who was dealt a severe amount of trauma in a very short amount of time during a time in history where resources for mental health and especially for women was not available. And I feel like she had this access to wealth and just needed something to keep herself busy so that she wouldn't be consumed by her grief.
Yep, that's fair.
I feel like at the end of the day, she's just a heartbroken mom who lost her baby and husband and just needed to find a way to do something to keep her mind off of it.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the theatrical, like, fun ending that everybody wants to throw in there, but it is the most realistic to me. But yeah, I mean, there's also been theories that she was just really into architecture and just was.
I mean, good for her if so.
Yeah, follow your dreams.
I will say it is an architectural masterpiece.
Yeah,
it is very.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly nothing really makes sense. But yeah,
no, exactly. That's cool.
Some people think that the reason it doesn't make sense is because she was the one drawing up all the plans, and because she was like an amateur architect, that would make sense why things wouldn't line up. Yeah. But also at the same time, if you're building on a house for like 80 years, Especially also because, as you mentioned with the earthquake, there were parts of it that were just completely...
collapsed.
There were parts of it that collapsed, and also she would just be like, well, brick up this room, I guess, move on. And so then you'd have this... That's how you ended up with that perfect little time capsule.
Yep.
Because it was like, well, I can't access this anymore, just brick it up and move on.
Creepy doll.
Yeah.
No thanks.
No, thank you.
I'm not a fan.
I'd be inclined to know if there's any more information to come out about that doll in your
It was
future.
literally just like, at least in the source I found, it was like, oh yeah, they found a doll in there too.
So no
lore.
mediums have gotten their little hands on it yet to try and tell us, give us some background.
Honestly, it's probably not.
It's probably not, but you'd think people would jump at that.
No, 100%. Creepy dolls and crazy people just like go hand in
It's
hand.
probably in some like. Did they keep it on site? Is
I'm
it
not
like,
sure.
or
I
is there
couldn't
like a
find
little? Because obviously, the house is now a museum.
Yeah, it is a museum. You can do tours and stuff.
So I wonder, did they like sell it,
I don't know.
keep
You definitely could. I mean,
it?
if it's Victorian
Personally,
doll,
I'd put it in a little glass case and I'd leave it in that room and be like, "Hey, look at this cool little stuff we got
live
in
here
here."
now.
Yeah.
Vanish. Brick it up again.
Hold on, let me just sprinkle some holy water real quick.
Encase the doll in bricks. And then, yeah.
Let me just walk around here with some sage,
Yeah.
burn some candles.
Burn some incense. Yeah, that's all I have. I liked it. Honestly,
I love it.
I like to go. Honestly, like it's a very nice. It's an appealing house. It's a very nice looking house.
Yeah.
I'd go.
You can't explore all of it though. Like it's so
Yeah, it's huge.
big. You can't get to all of
24,000
it.
Square foot is a lot.
It's like
It's a mansion.
yeah, it's like going into a city and being like, okay, experience all of it in one day.
Anyway,
And you're like,
I fell into stories.
man. I would love to go there. I bet they've got an absolutely killer gift shop.
I was gonna say gift shop probably.
Gift shop
banger.
is gonna go hard. I'm gonna spend so much money that I don't have.
Yeah, true.
That's okay.
I'm excited to hear about your cryptid. Why do you always pick scary ones? Why do you never pick a whimsical cryptid?
Because I take this too seriously, Tucker.
But like Loveland Frogman.
I take it too seriously. Also, I kind of may have bent the rules.
It's a ghost, isn't it? Well, let's hear it.
One could say. Okay, hold on.
You mentally prepare yourself.
I'm mentally preparing, and I still have a slight headache. So
Oh.
staring at this screen
It's
kind of
hurting.
hurts. I woke up from my nap with a headache.
That's not very cool.
What am I but just a sleepy girl?
So true.
Okay. Episode 4 notes. Let's get into it.
Episode 4. I'm excited.
Okay. I am going to tell you a tale
All right.
about the Black-Eyed Kids.
Oh. Yeah.
Have you heard of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. I made the mistake of going down this rabbit hole.
You make that mistake a lot.
I do. I'm like, oh, what a fun little quirky little thing. Let me just get some background. And I'm like, 6 hours later, I'm like, come up. I'm like, oh my God. Where was?
Yeah, I'm like, I could wrap this up in a day.
I'm like, ugh. I'm like crawling out of a pit.
No, literally.
Nothing makes sense.
Nope.
Also, Black-Eyed Kids, also called Black-Eyed Children, or just BEK. Beck.
I like calling them Beck instead. That adds some whimsy.
Well, BEK makes me think of BTK. And then I'm like, oh, that's even more sad, because that's at least real.
Yeah.
This is not a true crime podcast. We won't get into that.
No.
No, maybe we'll do a spin-off show sometime.
Spin-off? What do we even call that?
We'll workshop it.
I don't know. We need to we need to start bringing on guests. We discussed that a little bit. We can discuss that more at the end.
We need to bring guests on
We need
here.
to bring guests on here. We need some new talent.
Yeah, because like Daphne can't carry it all on her own.
No. Yeah, okay. I see how it is.
You're trying to replace me.
Yeah, I am actually. I'd rather do it with Brian.
That's
He's
fair.
a better co-host.
Honestly,
He's got a sexier voice.
he does have a sexier voice. I can't even argue with that because it's true.
He's got a nice voice. Anyway, scary
Anywho's,
children.
I'm sorry. Okay, so call it what you will. In my opinion, this could be counted as a cryptid.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is an urban legend, but granted, aren't all cryptids urban legends?
Yeah, no, literally. That's literally how they all.
Also, just kind of defined as just a general creepypasta in the sense that it did originate on the internet.
Creepypasta. Oh no.
Well, I mean, because
Actually, creepypasta, some of them.
we'll get into it. But
creepypasta episode could be cool.
Creepypasta episode would be good. The issue, though, is that there's just so
There's
much.
a lot.
You'd have to do, like, specific ones.
Yeah.
Also, just, like, the thing about creepypastas, though, is that in the sense of that they're documented, they're on the internet. People are able to track them. They have a defined history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Bigfoot didn't exist until... stories of Bigfoot didn't exist until tomorrow, then that would be considered a urban legend creepypasta in the sense that it would originate on the internet. The only thing that makes a creepypasta different than any other urban legend is the fact that it's documented on the internet.
Yeah.
And so you have like a timeline.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a way to maybe like discredit them, but I feel like people go like, "Oh, it's on the internet. It's fake," or like, "Oh, it's a long-standing."
It has to be real.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I've learned anything,
Yeah.
if my parents have taught me anything,
They taught me that everything on the internet's real.
yeah, 1,000%.
That's what my dad told me that.
Yeah. They are described as paranormal creatures linking the physical world and the paranormal world.
Yeah.
They are almost always described as children between the ages of 6 and 16. Mm-hmm. So little kids all the way up to teenagers that I would rather not interact with.
Yeah, I feel like they'd like jump me.
Teens, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Yeah, make them bite the curb." I'd be like, "No,
No. No. So they're described as very pale, and they have completely black eyes. They don't have any whites of their eyes at all. Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
They will often be described as wearing clothes that don't really seem to fit, as in like they're too big, or they're old-fashioned, or they're run down, or like it's really cold outside and they're not wearing appropriate clothing.
Yeah.
They often have hoods or hoodies or long hair obscuring their faces, especially if it's like a little girl. It'll have like long
like
hair.
The girl from
The Ring.
Yeah, The Ring. I was gonna say The Room, and that is not a horror movie. Well, okay, it's a horror movie in some senses.
I was gonna say, what's the plot of The Room? Oh wait, I do know that. Wait,
Yeah, with Tommy Wiseau. Wiseau.
is that the one where the girl is locked in like the?
No, that's the "You're tearing me apart, Lisa."
I have no idea what you're talking about. I thought
It's a really bad movie.
I thought I knew, and I didn't.
It's pretty bad.
Okay, I'm sorry. Moving on.
It's like, "Oh, hi, Mark."
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yeah.
I only know that from the meme.
That movie, it's really bad.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. I did not hit her. What? We're supposed to be getting scared. I was supposed to be getting scared. You're not really doing a very good job.
I'm sorry. Okay. So they will often keep their eyes covered, or they'll be like looking down at the ground, and sometimes the person that they're interacting with doesn't see that they have black eyes until it's too late. They're
too late.
Too late. We'll get to it. They are often seen in pairs, with one of them being they're either the same age and they're just the same age, or there'll be one that's younger and one that's older. Yeah. And also there doesn't really seem to be any trend with like one's a boy, one's a girl, they're both boys, they're both girls. From the ones I've found, mostly it's usually a boy and a girl. And if you go on Reddit and you look up Black Eyed Kids True Story, not clickbait, you'll find literally thousands.
That's a really reputable source
of
too.
Story. I know. That's how you see. As we've established, everything on the internet, true. We're cooked. They will approach people's front doors and or their like apartment buildings, sometimes in their parked cars when people are sitting in their cars. One account that we're gonna get into, a lady had them knock on her balcony door.
Ooh.
And she was on the second floor. Yeah. So you're like, how the frick did they get up there?
Climb, probably.
Or, I don't know. Poof.
Spiritually teleported. Got a step ladder, maybe.
It's actually just 3 kids in a trench coat. They're stacked on top of each other.
Man, this will be so funny,
guys. Guys, let me put on my contacts.
Yeah. God, that'd be funny.
So they will ask to be let in or ask for a ride, which kind of reminds me of vampire lore in the sense
like
that they can't come into a space unless you allow them in.
Yeah.
Like they won't break in, but they do get really aggressive if you deny them.
Yeah.
They are described as speaking in very monotone, robotic voices with void of emotion and also kind of sound rehearsed.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, they become more aggressive and erratic when they are denied access to your space.
Yeah.
A lot of the accounts that I read through where it was talking about them speaking directly, it kind of reminded me of like an alien trying to be normal.
Yeah,
like this is we're having a human conversation. Me, I'm a human. I love talking about normal human things. I am a child knocking on another human's door, and I'm going to ask normal questions. I need to use your telephone, please.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not normal.
No.
It's like just off.
Nope. I'm gonna be real too. Even if they don't have black eyes, I'm not letting an unattended child in my car.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
No, that's not even why. Like, imagine if they falsely alleged like, oh, I was kidnapping them. I'd be like, well, screw you, kid. You coerced me. Like, I'm not getting.
Let me into your car, please. And then they're like, officer, I'm being abducted.
Kidnapped, help. And I'd be like,
you're like, I'm cooked.
Come on.
Come on, man. I thought we were cool.
Why'd you take the black contacts out, you little...
I thought we were bros.
Yes, 6-year-old girl. I'm so glad you got in my car with me. No, that's not a good look for a 21-year-old man.
I don't really like. I don't like kids in general.
Yeah.
That's not to say if I saw a child in distress, I'd just be like, oh. Haha.
Yeah.
Sucks for you. But if one came to my door, first of all, no soliciting. Unless they have Girl Scout cookies.
Usually they are unattended then, though.
That's true.
And they also usually don't have black eyes.
Yeah, I've never seen any black-eyed Girl Scouts.
Honestly, the black-eyed children probably have so many more victims if they just came with, like, cookies. They'd be like, hey, would you like to buy this? I need to come inside to put them on your counter.
Excuse me, I'm trying to raise money for my scout troop. I'm selling Christmas wreaths. Would you like to buy one? I'd
be like, heck no, I already bought one.
You're like, I already bought one from my other kid.
See you later, idiot. Slam the door in their face, be like, no! I'm trying to steal your soul or whatever they do.
They're like, I really wanted to go to Spirit Summer Camp.
Wow. You don't get to go to Baldwin, moron. Camp's not even that good.
Ooh, shady.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like dust. Or having to cook my own food.
God, it was so dusty.
Yeah. That's a scout joke right there.
I had... The girls that get it. The girls that don't. I had brown boogers for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Walking back from the showers after cleaning your legs off and they get the same amount of dirty it's like Sisyphus. That entire camp is just dust Sisyphus. It's horrible. Cool waterfront, though.
I never hung out at the waterfront. I was too busy doing other things.
Aren't you cool?
Yeah, I was trying to get my eagle. What were you doing? Womp womp.
Yeah,
I only got to go to one summer camp.
I already had mine.
BSA, are you listening?
Please wait.
Cascade Pacific Council?
No,
wait, no, come back. We're getting so off topic.
That's okay. This will be cut out. This is a stupid segment anyway.
Just cut out all of me talking.
You're like, that's the video. That's the episode. Good job.
Lord help us all.
You're like, wow, how was my segment? I'm like, really good. We should actually probably talk about the thing now, so we're not here for 1 million years. We've already been here for 48
minutes. Hee hee hee. You're going to have so much fun editing this.
What a waste of time.
Okay. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. So, the earliest accounts are said to be from the mid-'80s. There are references to stories going back to the mid-'80s. However, the earliest account that anybody can actually find was by a guy named Brian Beckel, and the story came out in 1998. So... since then, more stories have come out where people were like, oh yeah, I saw him way back in the 80s, but like, those came out after this guy. Yeah, so he wrote a account And it was released in 1998, and it was referring to an encounter he had 2 years prior, so in 1996.
Okay.
And this is actually, he had it in like a private email thread between friends. He never intended for this to get leaked, and somebody else let it out.
Like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it got shared and passed around. So Brian Beckel worked as a journalist and reporter, and this took place in Abilene, Texas.
Okay.
So let me take you back. It's 1996.
1996?
Yep, I was there. This is a stupid bit.
Stupid. Oh my
So
God.
he was sitting in his car outside of a movie theater.
Okay.
And 2 children approached his car and knocked on his window, which I've had people do that to me. Terrifying.
It's scary. Especially when you're not expecting. You're like, oh.
Dude, it scares the absolute crap out of me every single time. I'm like, first of all, get away from me. Second of all, don't touch my car. Third of all, move, because I now need to step out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in my way. So there were 2 children, and they knocked on his window, and they were both wearing hoodies with the hood up.
Right.
You couldn't really see their faces.
Right.
They appeared to be between the ages of 9 and 13. He described one of them as being really pale and having freckles and having red hair, and another as being more olive skin toned and having dark curly hair.
Okay.
So he cracked his window just a little bit to be like, hey, like, what?
Get out.
How can I help you? So he's like, cracked his window to ask them what they need. And they asked if they can get a ride back to their mother's house to pick up money that they forgot because they were going to go see the Mortal Kombat movie. And they didn't have money.
Trash.
Yeah, the 2021 version or the 1995 version?
95?
Because I think they remade it.
They did. I never saw the remake.
I never saw either of them.
Well, don't bother. The CGI... Oh, no, the Annihilation is the really garbage one. Have you seen the CGI for that one? Off topic? Oh, God, it's horrible. Anyway, back to the story.
God, you're a nerd.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a character trait.
So they ask... It was like, hey, can you take us back to our mom's house? We forgot our money. When the second boy spoke... Beckel felt an unnatural and overwhelming sense of dread. And this is another theme we will see throughout stories where there's just this overwhelming feeling of dread, sadness, depression, anxiety. Sometimes even like you'll just hear a knock at your door and before you even look out the peephole or even get close to the door, you just immediately like fear just washes over you. And it's probably one of those like sixth sense human things. Like your hair stands up on the back of your neck kind of deal.
Your brain's kind of like,
So Beckel was really confused and he pointed out to them, he's like, well, the movie's already started. Like that, the time for the movie that you wanted to see has already started. Even if we went back and got your money, you wouldn't be able to get back in time. Yeah. So he's basically like trying to politely be like,
get out.
You know, like, no, please don't ask to get in my car. The boys kept pushing and they said, quote, we're just 2 kids. We don't have a gun or anything.
Yeah, not suspicious at all. These are the worst monsters ever. They're like, no,
we're definitely not gonna murder you.
Yeah, God, why would you even think that?
Why would you even think?
Okay.
You're like, I literally never even... He's like, I didn't say that, you said that.
Yeah. What?
And then he described them as having really mechanical, unnatural voices, and it sounded rehearsed.
Yeah, so like they practiced.
Like they
Right,
practiced.
we're gonna prank this guy.
And this was at the time where they kind of looked up more at him, and he noticed they had completely black eyes. Oh. And he is freaking out at this point. So he's absolutely terrified, and he turns on his car and he starts to drive away. Yeah. And one of the boys gets angry and bangs on his window and shouts, let us in, we can't come in unless you say it's okay.
That's rough.
And then he speeds away, he like pulls out of his parking spot, he like whips out of there, and he looks in his rearview mirror and they're gone. So this is the story that he wrote in that email thread between close friends where he's like, you guys are not going to believe what happened. Yeah. And then 2 years later it got leaked. Okay. Or he was writing about it, they were like talking about spooky things, and he was like, oh, this thing happened to me 2 years ago. Yeah. Or he like never told anybody about it. So it was like this small group thing, and then it got leaked.
Yeah.
So now he is associated with being the first account. And since it has become more popular, there's thousands of sightings,
right,
or alleged sightings, because I mean, you can write whatever the fuck you want on the internet. So
yeah.
But it should be noted that they're all from, mostly like 90% of them are either from the US or the UK.
Yeah.
So this is like an English speaking.
Ghosts are only in the United States.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We also are the only country with aliens.
That's why there's zero ghost stories or anything else in any other countries.
Yeah, literally none ever.
Actually, there's a lot. People, normally, it's like only US see aliens, but like recently, like China's been reporting seeing aliens. People in Europe are reporting it.
I try not to think about aliens. It weirds me out.
The United States government has literally confirmed that
they've confirmed that unknown things are in the sky.
Looks like aliens to me.
I throw a brick in the air and I go, "What's that?" It's a UFO.
Yeah, you just don't believe.
I choose not to.
Personally,
listen,
win a war with aliens.
I'm a marine biologist. I'm a little too busy poking around another thing that we haven't explored at all, which is the ocean.
If aliens come down, though, we can just use your expertise and go find Atlantis and get some, like, mer people.
If you cover Atlantis, I'm walking out.
Dude.
Same if you ever cover if you come in, you're like, I have a cryptid for you. It's the megalodon. I'm punching you in the face.
The megalodon's not a cryptid.
People say that it is.
It's like a weird
stupid.
Version of megalodon.
And
I might do that just as a joke.
Yeah. Do I have permission to sock you in the face?
No. What?
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to do that.
I don't think the megalodon's a cryptid. I think it's an extinct animal.
See? Perfect.
I mean, I don't know. The thing is, there's too much evidence to state that the megalodon is not around, because I think we would have found it by now.
Yeah.
And also, Atlantis isn't even really a cryptid, so your metaphor makes no sense.
Haunted places, Atlantis? Hello?
Atlantis isn't haunted.
Is it?
No.
It's like dead people. It's like
I guess
dead people.
The thing is, normally we're talking about like real
or
places,
like mermaids.
That's
we're gonna have to edit all of this out.
We should honestly shut up.
We should just shut the fuck up and poke it. I'm 2 pages into my 5-page thing.
I'm so glad I don't have to edit this yet. I still have to edit another episode before. Why are we even still talking? Just keep talking.
I'm sorry. So very recently, after this story got leaked, there was a very popular story of a woman from Portland, actually. And this is the one I was talking about, where she had them on the outside patio on the second floor. And her story is that she was outside smoking a cigarette, and she looked over at one of the other apartment buildings kind of around the corner where she could see down to other people's patios. And she noticed that there were 2 children on somebody else's patio and was knocking on them. And she was watching from far away. And even she was getting really freaked out, and she did not like it. And they were banging on the door, and the woman at this other apartment came in and like opened the door and was like, "What the hell are you doing on my patio? Get out." And then she like slams the door, and runs off, and this other woman is watching as she's like calling the police and all this jazz. And then according to her, the 2 children like in unison turned and looked at her, even though they would have had no way of knowing that she was up there, because she was on a higher point and also kind of up around a bend, and she was in the dark just smoking a cigarette. And then they apparently dematerialized, according to her, where they just like faded into like splotchy nothingness, and then rematerialized on the roof. On the roof of the other building, and like crouched down to like look over the patio so like the other woman like poked her head out, and they're like creeping and like looking down, and they're like whispering to each other, and then they both turn and look at her again. Like they know that she knows that they can see her. They're like, "We know that you
we're coming to your house next, lady."
Yeah, they did, apparently, according to her. So they were on. So according to her story, then like first of all, she's freaking the fuck out, because she's like, why? What the hell? And she was terrified for a couple days. Then finally, a couple days later, again, she was outside smoking a cigarette, and she heard like a little cough above her. And she was like, oh my God, they're on the roof. And so she bolts inside, locks the door, and then she hears them walk across the top of her roof and then disappear. And then a couple minutes later, there's knocking at her front door in the apartment.
Someone would get him shot. I'm not very real with you.
Well, at this time, her boyfriend is also home.
Oh, he's
because for the first one, he wasn't home.
Yeah.
And
you're lying, babe.
She's like, you're never gonna believe me. This is absolutely crazy.
And he's like, you're right. I don't believe you.
So they peeked out of the side window to look into the hallway to see what was out there.
What was there.
And the window is high enough that based on the heights of the two children, they shouldn't have been able to look in.
Oh, and they were looking right at the window. Huh?
One of them was like at head height with the window, which means she would have had to have at least been floating, if not like
I
grown.
like that. I like that a lot.
That's so gross. That's
awesome.
That's the like.
I don't like. Okay, I like it, but I hate it.
I hate it. I love it, but I hate it.
I love the visual.
It's so gross. And then also like she tried taking a picture.
Yeah.
And they just weren't in the picture.
Ugh.
Like in that moment, they just were gone.
Come on, dude.
And so this is like her writing it all out. She wrote it very poorly. I wanted to just like read it word for word, but it was honestly really gibberish. Drawn out and kind of poorly written.
She's gonna bash this.
I'm sorry, woman. I know, but like at least use proper punctuation if you're going to be writing an essay on Reddit. Fair. Like please use commas. These are very long run-on sentences. But I do have an account that I do want to read to you.
All right, go for it.
Word for word. So this is what happens when you let them in.
Oh, I was actually wondering. I was like, do they like suck your soul out? I mean, evidently not because this is an account.
Well, I don't know. There's been no updates on this, so I have no idea what happened to these poor people. So this is an account from a woman in Vermont. I have no dates assigned to this. I have no names. It's just an anonymous
So it's probably fake is what you're saying?
Post. Like, I couldn't even find the original. This is a story that I heard many years ago. Oh. That this is one that gave me the creeps when I was like 13.
Right. Yeah, back in 50 years ago.
It was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
The war had just ended.
Yeah. It was peace.
Finally, there was peace amongst the land. Where was I? Vermont.
Yeah, Vermont.
Vermont. Okay, so this is what happens when you let them in.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I am going to read you this story. I made the mistake of letting the black-eyed kids inside, and now I'm worried that I might die because of it. I hope this will be a warning to everyone. I live just outside of a rural town in Vermont. It's a tight-knit community, and people don't lock their doors at night. A little over a year ago, I woke up because I heard a loud banging on my door. We live in a small home on a dirt road. It was in the middle of a snowstorm, so I thought that someone might have been in an accident, because it's happened here before. I looked out the window, and I could see the motion spotlight was on, but there were no footprints in the snow, and there was no car anywhere. The snow was still covering the road, and no one had driven on it. Through the window, I could see that someone was standing there. I wasn't really sure what to think, so I woke my husband, and the banging on the door started again, and he answered it. When he opened the door, there were 2 children standing in the snow, looking toward the ground. They were a boy and a girl, and they couldn't have been more than 8 years old. They were dressed strangely and had odd haircuts. They weren't dressed for winter. Thinking back on it, I know that my normal reaction to see children in a snowstorm would have been to rush them inside and bundle them up with some blankets and hot cocoa. That's not how this felt. The children were very unnerving. They wouldn't make eye contact, and when my husband asked them if everything was okay, they asked if they could come in. My husband looked at me like, well, what do I do? I asked the kids where their parents were. They'll be here soon, is all they said.
Oh.
It was around 2 o'clock in the morning, so the only reasonable thought in my head was that there must have been an accident or these kids got lost. As much as my instincts were told me not to bring them inside, I did it anyway. I went to the kitchen to make some cocoa while my husband took them into the living room. While I was fixing the kettle, I could hear my husband talking to them. He was asking them if they were okay, where they came from, how far they'd walked, if their parents' car was broken down, things like that. But they always answered, "Our parents will be here soon." They spoke in a sing-songy voice. When I walked back into the living room, the kids were sitting on the couch as still as can be. But my husband was holding his head in his hands. I asked him what was wrong, and he said that he felt very dizzy all of a sudden, but he was fine. I turned back to the children to give them their cocoa. But then they looked at me, and I gasped. It took everything inside of me not to drop the mugs and run away. Their eyes were completely black. They had no whites, just giant black pupils. When they saw that I was scared, they stood up and asked if they could use the bathroom. I tried to be as composed as I could, and I showed them down the hall, and they went into the bathroom together. I hurried back to my husband to ask him if he had seen their eyes. He had seen them too. We were talking about those whose children they could be when my husband's nose started to bleed. He'd never had nosebleeds as long as I'd known him. I just knew inside myself that this had something to do with the kids in the bathroom, and I started to cry. While I ran to get my husband some tissues, that's when the power went out.
Ugh.
I heard my husband yell my name from the living room. As I started to walk back through the hallway, I stopped dead in my tracks. The two children were standing at the end of the hall. They weren't moving. And I had never been so scared in my whole life. They just stood there in the dark. And after what felt like forever, the boy said, "Our parents are here." And they walked to the door, opened it, and walked out, leaving it wide open. My husband jumped up to close it and almost fell over. We looked out the window and saw two men standing by a black car idling in our driveway. The men looked like they were wearing black suits and were very tall, at least 6 feet. And my husband waved at them, and they just stared at us, got into the car, and drove off. Our power came on about half an hour later, but nothing was the same after that. My husband's nosebleeds became a regular occurrence, so we went to go see a doctor. He didn't know what to make of it other than a very dry nasal passage, but my husband was diagnosed with an aggressive skin cancer. The doctors think he will recover, but I don't understand how it got so bad so quickly. He's never worked an outdoor job and spends relatively little time in the sun. Since we let the black-eyed kids inside our home, I've also suffered from dizzy spells and nosebleeds. Suddenly, I'm in the worst condition of my life, and no one can do anything about it. I know that all of this is because I let them into my home. We told everyone we could about the strange kids, but no one saw them, and some people laugh at how scared we were. But we know what we saw, and I wish my husband had never opened the door.
All right, can I rant and stuff now?
Yeah,
all
go
right.
rant.
First off, you're a moron. If you're looking out there, you see no car, and there's no footprints in the snow, whatever's at the door, don't let it in. That just don't, all right? I can completely understand why you're like, all right, these kids are just like randomly outside, we should probably let them in. What it sounds like to me, though, is they like seeing the eyes is kind of like, if you've let them in, it's kind of like
you're sealing the deal.
Yeah, how I think is they kind of like, I don't know, quote unquote attack is this kind of like a. It's like, in like stuff like Cthulhu, how the beings are like so ancient and unknowable that it physically hurts you. It's like looking into the eyes like fries your brain, kinda. Or you just get like misfortune. But like
the thing is that these kind of stories, and if you read through any of them on the internet, they all have the same story.
Right.
I was at my house. These kids knocked at my door. I felt dread. I didn't know what to do. They were monotone. I didn't see their faces. When I did, they had black eyes. I was scared. They asked to come in. I said no. They got aggressive.
Yeah.
And then all the stories where people let them in. It's like, we let them in. We saw what they were. We're scared. We don't know what's going on. They've left our house. My husband has cancer. My body's deteriorating.
Right.
This other thing. They all follow the exact same blueprint.
Yeah.
Which either means they're all just building off of each other.
Yeah.
And it's just
Which could be
solidifying the story.
Could be 100%.
Because the thing that's so eerie about it is because all the stories are so consistent.
Yeah.
They all are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which, to me, either lends credence to the fact that, well, at least one of them's got to be true.
Yeah,
but then
probably.
also at the same time, they're so predictable.
Yeah.
And what this sounds like to me, when I was also reading through dozens of stories where people had let them in and then gotten sick and either died or are dying, it sounds like radiation poisoning.
Sort of, yeah.
Which then, and then this story with the men in black, because that's another thing that comes up only a handful of times, but there have been a few people that have seen them being escorted out by men in black.
Yeah,
which then makes me think classic alien story.
Yep, or a governmental thing, like they're a government experiment type of thing. It's almost like a hidden like weapon thing.
Yeah, or like some sort of experiment gone wrong, or just
like break out, or they're let out specifically. Honestly, conspiracy theories are kind of fun. I think we could do a conspiracy theory episode. That could be pretty sweet.
That would be sick. Maybe we can do that for episode 10.
Maybe.
The big 10.
Yeah.
So I would like to give credit where credit is due. I got a lot of really good information from Monstrum, which put out a really great video. It's a PBS program. You can find it on YouTube.
I like
and
PBS.
I also love PBS. I like it because she took a more anthropologic stance of like, why is it that these kind of stories freak us out so much?
Yeah.
And I want to posit you that question. Why do you think stories about children specifically are popular or freak us out?
Being creepy? I think the big reason is, children are the future. They're what we strive to do as a species. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But the reason why something like this, at least, would scare someone, I would think, would mostly be because, it's turning the known and twisting it into the unknown. It's the same reason why the uncanny valley is so terrifying to people. Because there's something deep in our subconscious that makes us afraid of things that look human, but aren't. And we don't know why. Which is honestly kind of horrifying. So could have been aliens that looked like us. There have been predators. Could have even evolved to be something like, other hominid species that just we fought over for territory or something like that. Sure. But somewhere deep within our primal subconscious minds, we are scared of things that look off. To us. And I think that's kind of what...
Especially also when you encapsulate it in a child specifically, because we as a species are programmed to care for our young.
They're seen as innocent.
And they're innocent. They're not as dangerous. They're not threatening. And then also in tandem with the blackness of the eyes, this is another thing that this lady talked about, and I really want to emphasize is that so much of our social structure as a species revolves around facial recognition and especially following eye contact and following eye gaze to see where it is. So what makes a creature with really black eyes terrifying is that you don't know where it's looking. It could be looking at everything. It could be looking at nothing, and you can't read it.
Yeah.
And then compound that with it also then being a small child, it doesn't make sense with what we are programmed to believe.
It feels like a front.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a big thing.
And then also tie that in with the monotone, creepy, rehearsed voices.
Like Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, it's just so unsettling.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this, I don't think it's real. I think it's
fake.
But it does point out a lot of things, I think, about us as a society and as a species, about what makes us tick and what we're afraid of. So I really like this story.
I honestly would agree. I think it's pretty cool. Even if it's fake, I still think it's a really cool story.
Even if it's fake, it still gives me the chills.
Yep.
And some of them are, as we've talked about, some of them are really shittily written, but some of them are really good.
Yeah.
And they really get your heart pumping.
Yeah.
And I think that is really cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
Another thing, I just want to put this in there because I thought it was so hilarious.
Oh boy.
When I was doing my research. So actually, I stumbled down the YouTube rabbit hole, which also, by the way, if you go on YouTube and you look up Black-Eyed Children, you will find dozens of videos that are each an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours long of just people reading accounts off of reading the stories.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across one that I was like really getting into. It was really well made.
Yep.
And it was just this old white guy with a weird background, and he was bald, and he was talking about stuff. And I'm like,
awesome.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm getting into it. And then he's like telling the stories, and I'm like, yeah, like getting super creeped out. I'm like, yeah. Give me the background, give me the hot goss, give me the lore. Let me put this in my podcast.
Yeah.
And then it took a really, really, really sharp turn out of nowhere, where he was all of a sudden like, there's never been any accounts of anybody proclaiming the name of Jesus in front of the Black-Eyed Children. Why do you think that is? Do you think these are demons that could... And I was like, oh no, it's Christian coded. And then I looked at the channel name for 2 more seconds, and I was like, oh, I should have seen right through this.
You know what's
And then he's like, do you happen to think that it's a coincidence that in a country where thousands of unborn children are murdered every year in the name of free rights? And I'm like, oh no. Oh, I was having so much fun and you ruined it. How dare you?
Well, you know what's really funny to me about that?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna be like, you think these are like demon things that are like, you know, like assuming the form?
Yeah, and then I made the mistake of then reading more into their bio, and I was like, oh, this is buku bananas crazy, because now he's like, because then in the description and everything, like, you went deeper, and I was like, it had such a fun beginning, and then we got to the end and it was very extremely brain rot conspiracy, and I was like, oh no, dang it, I was having fun, and you ruined it.
See, that brings us to the question though, what would happen if you invoked the name of the Lord in front of these children? What do you think?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Because I think they'd go, okay, but that's great. Can we still come in?
I'd probably if I see a child with all black eyes, they're getting drop kicked. I'm gonna be like Chuck Norris. I'm gonna roundhouse kick them. Be like, can we come in? I'll be like, I'll get a nice mullet. I'll grow a mullet.
I was going to say, this is America. Half of us are strapped anyway.
Yeah, these kids are playing a dangerous game.
They're like, yeah, knock on my door one more time. Say hi to my 9mm.
Yeah, imagine they like get angry, like, oh, let us in. Like, oh, you want to come in?
You want to come into this house? You see that sign? It says no soliciting.
You see that thing says this wind chime was made by all the tax collectors that I shot. It's like empty shell casing.
They got those doormats that are like, nothing in this. It's like, I shoot on contact. Yeah. Nothing in this house is worth dying for. And you're like, bro, I'm just trying to sell Girl Scout cookies. It all comes back to the Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. The kid's like, can I come in? You're like, oh, yeah, sure. The door slams shut behind you. Like, oh, I'm not trapped in here with you, kid.
You're trapped in here with me. That sounds bad.
You're a yeah. Your chainsaw rifle through, like, oh, I was going to give you nosebleeds, no!
You're like, no, I was going to use my telekinetic powers.
You, like, hit them in the head with a frying pan. Like, boom!
The alien mothership comes down and is like, no, you weren't supposed to do that!
How did you think you were? It's like, I was wearing my tinfoil hat. You witches, you'll never get me. Yeah, no, 100% fake, though. I don't think that's real.
This has devolved so badly.
You know, we've said that, and now we're going to be targets.
I worry about that a lot. See, that's another reason why I don't like aliens. First of all, because I just don't like to think about it. Space freaks me out.
That's fair.
It's too big, and I don't like it. And
space.
It's so, I literally cannot wrap my feeble little tiny biologist brain around it. Stars are pretty, but I am a biologist and I like squishy things that I can hold and look at in my hands. If I look up at the sky, my brain starts spinning and I start thinking too much, and then I get scared and confused, and then I just want to run back.
Black-eyed children.
Yeah, and then they're gonna look over. I'm gonna look over, and they're just gonna be standing right next to me. They're like, "Oh, looking at home.
Hey.
Me too."
No, you're looking
like fancy seeing you here.
You're looking like a dark being yourself over there. We're like, what? That's not right. It's like, oh, sorry, you didn't put your makeup on.
I'm like, hold on, let me put in my contacts.
They're like, sorry.
I don't need
to come in anywhere. You probably don't even own a home.
Not with the housing market these days.
Yeah.
Good Lord. We've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes.
And we're going to be cutting like 20 to 30 minutes out of it because it's just us either cursing or making random garbage.
Are you going to start putting little bleeps over top of my audio?
Just annihilate it. We'll see if I can like slice the audio together.
We put in the description that there would be language.
Yeah, that's true. Guess we did.
Nobody can sue us. Parents? Are you listening?
First of all, advise.
Parents, don't let your kids put on black contacts and don't let them knock on my door.
They will get drop kicked.
They will get drop kicked.
Or roundhouse kicked.
Or
hit with
I just have anxiety and won't answer the door. If it's important, they'll leave a package or a note.
Imagine you're like going to leave today and like right as you're about to like touch the door handle, you're knocking on the door.
I'm pissing myself.
You're like, oh.
I'm like, it's real! I run back upstairs. I'm like, Tucker!
Real!
Tucker, no!
Or imagine you're walking down the stairs and right as you're about to like, you're like going to the kitchen, you're knock at the balcony window.
Good night.
Right on the glass.
Good night.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I'm gonna be nightmares tonight though.
Good
You're
night.
like, oh, I'm gonna spook you. Now I'm spooking you.
See, this one didn't freak me out as much as the one last time. I didn't have to call my mom.
You called your mom about the... Oh, right.
Yeah, because Letta was freaking me out. I was looking at her stupid little face.
I mean, fair. That's
and I got
horrifying.
I got scared.
Honestly, horrifying.
Had to call me mum.
Yeah.
Also, thanks, Mom. Thanks for listening. Hee hee.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug, Mom. Give us those views. Are your parents listening?
Probably not.
Bruh.
My brother listens.
Good for him. My brother also listens. Our biggest supporters are brothers.
I will say, what's very interesting, so this is a little bit of a tangent. When my brother was listening to the first episode, we live, like the road that we live on, one of the off-roads has a big cemetery on it. And apparently he was driving by while listening to our podcast. And this was just like something he mentioned. He's like, yeah, I also saw a dog or something with like a weirdly long neck when I was driving by the cemetery. And I was like, what?
A chupacabra.
I don't know. He's like, yeah, I just saw that. And that was just like a comment he made. I was like, what are you...
Just flippantly. That's such a dad thing to do.
That was my brother. Wasn't
I know, but like, knowing your dad...
He was like, it was literally like, oh yeah, actually, Cincinnati is in Ohio or whatever we're talking about. And I didn't actually know that. That is 100% my fault.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but you were in such a groove that I wasn't... See,
if I say something wrong, correct me.
Okay, but... I didn't say, think about it, I didn't say anything about you saying that Cincinnati is not in Ohio, and I'm like, yeah, the fuck it is, but I didn't say anything about it, and then I say that ectoplasm has a Z in it, and you go, actually!
Yeah, but that's because that's just a word. If I'm ever wrong, like I've said something wrong, actually do correct me, because I'm never going to learn.
Well, see, here's the thing, I'm so bad at geography.
It doesn't really matter. But yeah, my brother was like, I saw he described it as a weirdly long-necked dog, and I was like,
a hyena?
What? I don't know if it was like other proportions weird. I don't know how long of this neck this was. I don't know if it was just like he saw.
He was just like, that's weird.
Coyote. No, literally, he's like, man, that's weird. I'm almost home anyway. I can go play RimWorld with my friends. He plays RimWorld a lot. Cole, if you're listening to this, I'm calling you out. Play a better game. Actually, RimWorld's not that bad.
Good Lord.
You don't know what RimWorld is, do you?
No idea.
Don't bother. It's not that good.
I wasn't going to. I fill my brain with important things.
Like what?
Like this bullshit, apparently.
Black-eyed kids?
Yeah. Random song lyrics, movie quotes,
Ghost
and
Adventures.
Stupid Ghost Adventures references. I'm never going to be able to find a professional career.
Professional Ghost Hunter!
Woo!
Oh, God.
I'm cooked.
No, it's so
These
true.
5 years of university,
Wasted.
down the drain. Mom and Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm a podcaster now.
You wouldn't understand.
You guys wouldn't understand.
I like this episode.
This was fun.
I really like the Black Eyed Kids one.
And I really like the Winchester Mystery House.
It's a cool house.
We really came in clutch.
We did. This is honestly banger episode. Pretty good one.
Which kind of makes me sad because it's not on the Fiverr.
Yeah,
I feel
whatever.
like my OCD makes it feel like it needs to fall on the 5.
I'm not making it the 5.
I'm not either. But now I feel like we just, here's the problem. I feel like we just need to keep upping it.
How are we gonna do that?
I don't know. Also,
say.
it is funny that you are talking about, because I knew this was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
But like the Winchester Mystery House was in the back of my mind. Like
Yeah.
eventually I'm like, oh, like that's one that I could cover.
Right.
So I kind of forgot that you could also cover them. So when you were like, I'm talking about this, I was like, oh shit, I forgot.
No.
Oh no, my ideas. I'm kidding. It's fine. You can.
It's a little late for that.
Yeah, it's fine. There's the no shortage of creepy things for me to find.
For sure. That brings us back to a topic we brought up earlier. Having guests on the show? I think that'd be pretty cool.
Brian, are you listening? Hello?
Probably not. I don't think he's listened to episode 1. What a loser.
No, he did. He listened
He
to
did?
it. Yeah, he was driving from Albany yesterday,
yeah.
and he said he was listening to it in the car.
That's awesome.
Thank you,
That's
Brian.
awesome. Listen to episode 2.
Listen to
There's way
episode-
less views on YouTube. But we discussed. God, that's so stupid. We discussed maybe having him on for the next episode, so we'll talk
The
to him.
Fiverr.
What do you think? What do you think his topic would be?
I feel
Do
like
you think-
he's going to greatly misunderstand what's going on.
Probably.
We should just tell him to do aliens.
I was gonna say, do you think he should be like a separate thing, so he's not a ghost or a cryptid?
Yeah, I feel like he'd have to do like a creepypasta or a like a conspiracy theory
Yeah.
or an alien story.
Yeah. He's kind of built like an alien.
He is, honestly.
Good
He
for
probably
him.
uses that nose to communicate with them.
Dude, you need to chill out, alright? His nose is not that big.
It is.
You're a freak.
It's not my fault. He's just built the way he is. Cut this out.
Well, there's a
We
spike
should-
in audio, so I don't know where it is now. I won't have to listen an hour and 20 minutes.
We should... Oh, so you're not?
No, I listened to the whole thing when I edited the last one.
You should.
I do. I had to make sure it wasn't garbage. I had to cut out stuff that Shay missed. I'm cutting this out, too. 'Cause I don't want to badmouth Shay in our video.
You also want to cut out all my swears?
I am going to do that, yeah. At least most of them.
Most of them?
If I can get a beep to put over them, I think that would be funny. I
That'd
don't
be
know what that would be.
a quack.
Loud, incorrect buzzer.
Wank.
Thanks for listening, guys. I'm so glad you tuned in
I'm
today.
so glad you came in today.
Yeah, thanks.
Episode 4. We're doing so good.
We'll see you next time.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for listening to Two Bozos
We
in the Bone
appreciate
Zone.
you.
Thank you for listening to Two Bozos in the Bone Zone, hosted by Daphne Stacy and Tucker Lambing. Cover art by Noah Kachiver and editing by Shay McNeely. If you like the show, please leave us a rating, give us a review, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or suggestions for further things you want us to cover, please email us at twobozosintthebozone@gmail.com. Also, please follow along on our Instagram page, TBITBZ, that's all caps, TBITBZ, for photos to go along with our stories and to keep up on any updates we put out. See you next time. Bye-bye.